Oh,
Cool.
okay.
So look, good evening, and look, thanks for being part of this, and I hope that some of this touches you, and it might be relevant to you and your future life, because it's been relevant to me and it's helped me through good times and the dark times too. What do? I do lots of things. I've got quite a broad spectrum of coaching that I do: lifestyle, business, personal coaching. I do lots of speaking, and I've actually written a book, and which is sadly out of print now. I've got to print some more, and I'm writing my second book, so I'm in the editing stage of that. Running 1,000 marathons is a piece of cake. Writing a book, very, very tricky, certainly for somebody like me. And all of that work that I do, people are buying in. On the whole, they're buying into mindset. A lot of the time, people just want to know how to do it. So I'm fast tracking people. I'm getting people to think about things in a different way to that they're doing at the moment. And I coach people for desert races, and I coach Team GB. My wife runs for Team GB. And I went on and I do a lot of extreme weight loss. I'm a qualified nutritionist, and also I help people that are addicted to alcohol, drugs, all sorts of addictions, and try and hopefully change their mindset too, because we're living in this world of change. Change happens to all of us. The thing is, in the last sort of 12 months, the change has happened to all of us at once. And that's why it's had such a devastating effect on people, because this change has been something that lots of us haven't wanted. And the people that have done well, they've adapted to change, and the people that have struggled haven't. It's just you either sink or you float or you sink. It's one of those sort of situations. I can tell you about the good stuff. I'm a very proud man. I am 59. I know I look 35, but I'm 59. I'm 60 next year. It's amazing how it comes around so quickly. But I'm a numbers guy. That's why I found it very difficult to write a book. I've got that sort of Asperger's syndrome, where everything's about numbers. I really don't read books. I don't read long emails. I'm a very visual and creative person. And I have run 1,089 marathons, which I'm very proud of. If you ever get one of my emails, it's always at the bottom of the email. And I've done Guinness World Records for running on treadmills. And there I am at the Marathon des Sables, the world's toughest foot race, in 2012. That one, I've done it 15 times. So I've got a really proud history, but like most people, I've got a dark past too. And when I look back at 27 years ago, I was in a pretty dark place. And I really didn't quite know how to get out of it. That was actually 9,982 days ago. I'm just coming up for 10,000 days dry. I was pretty drunk for 10 years. I was a heavy smoker, heavy eater. In fact, I was just heavy. And I got to 31 and I was really unfit. I think it's interesting to be honest about your past. I'm a really honest person. I always ask people to be honest with me. And I really didn't know what to do. There was no hashtag mental health. You couldn't just sort of reach out and talk to people, because we didn't do that back in 1994. We just took some toughen up pills and carried on. All I did know was that I needed to go for a run. So rather than going to the pub on the 5th of January 1994, I came home and I went for a run in my work clothes, in the dark, in the rain, on a January evening, from my front door. And I did 100 steps and passed out on the pavement. But it didn't matter, because actually I felt totally ecstatic. I'd found my thing that was going to provide this sort of exoskeleton for the rest of my life to sort of sit on. I went for a run, did 100 steps, next day 200 steps, stopped drinking, stopped smoking, went on a diet, and 3 months later I ran a half marathon. And I found out that actually I was quite good at it. And like most people those days, you signed up for London Marathon on piece of paper, and I ran the London Marathon and just had an absolute ball. Just jogged around. I was running 100 miles a week by then. It was just fantastic. And like most things, you start looking at, well, if I did the marathon that week and I liked it that much, I ran one the next week. And that's what sort of started me off. And very quickly, I did 100 marathons. That took me 3 years. And this sort of happy place of running, this sort of 4-hour window of stacking up the problems, enjoying the running, and then running back into the problems was really good. The only thing is that as you get better, the happy time gets less because you get quicker. So I thought the best thing to do is actually to try and do some longer races where I could be in the happy time longer. So I started looking at 50 miles and 80 miles and 100-mile races. And I remember asking one guy at my local running club, he'd done an 80 miler, and I sort of said, well, what was it like? And he said, well, at halfway I wanted to die. And I thought, well, that sounds like my kind of race. So I did that and had that experience. And I've been very lucky on the running. I got chosen to do a 1,000-mile race in London, the same which culminated in the London Marathon, where I ran with Paula Radcliffe on that day. And I actually ran to Lisbon from London over 43 days, running 50K, that's 31 miles a day, on the hard shoulder for Euro 2004, just having this 6-week holiday, just enjoying my own thoughts, my own philosophy, and learning lots about my body and how I could overcome massive challenges like running 2,000K, 1,275 miles, 1/20th of the world's circumference just on my feet, which is quite unusual back in those days. So the running was cool, and I've done desert races and the world's toughest foot races, Marathon des Sables in Morocco, which you might have seen. But there's another race in Jordan that was probably tougher, and then another race in Chile, which is basically the Marathon des Sables, but at altitude. Very scary, no radio, no air cover, no nothing. You really are out on your own. Your hair stands on end the whole week that you're there doing this amazing race in this unbelievable sort of panoramic views that you get there every day. So I think I've been really lucky. But, and I could talk for hours about all of those 1,000 runs that I've done. But the thing that I'm interested in is about how you see yourself, because I think about what I do and I sort of think, well, how elite am I? How elite am I at work, say? How elite am I with my work? How elite am I at home? How elite am I in my relationship? How elite am I with being a parent? And you sort of look at those things and say, well, actually, if that's a line of eliteness on here, from left to right, there you go, Kat. Over this side, that's not elite. And over this side's elite. Where do you pitch yourself on the line?
That's a funny question.
Yeah. If there are lots of people on here, I'd ask lots of people. Quick answer. Where would you go?
God. And sorry, which side is which? The left is the you.
This is like not elite.
Okay.
And this is elite.
God, that's a funny question. I'd be pretty close to the left. I'd be pretty
down
close.
This end.
Yeah.
Look, I've spoken to you a few times on the phone, and we've had a few conversations. You're certainly not down here. You're way up here. It's just that we're very apologetic in the UK, and what we tend to do is we tend to pitch ourselves in the middle, all right? Because we don't want to look cocky, and also we don't want to look rubbish.
Yeah. So
what we do is we just go, well, I don't know anybody, so I'll go bang in the middle. How elite am I? I've done 1,069 marathons. There are only 2 people in the UK that are anywhere near me. That puts me up here. I've done 9 world records. There aren't many people with 9 world records. That puts me up here. How elite am I in relationship? Well, get Mrs. Coleman and ask her, but I'm pretty good. I'm not perfect, but I'm up around here.
I wasn't sure what your definition of elite is, actually. We might think of elite in different ways.
It's about being your elite, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's how you see elite. Are you the best version of yourself?
I'm getting there. Definitely getting
Okay.
there.
So
Yeah.
you're not down here, are you? You're not
No,
rubbish.
no,
And
no.
actually, you're up here because you're a bright girl. I know that. I know it from just first one sentence of talking to you. I know how bright you are. You're up here.
Oh,
But,
thank you.
well, and also, I don't have to say you're up there when I don't have to, because having had the life experience I have, I just don't waste. I don't waste compliments or time or what I say about things, because I just say, well, actually, I just tell the truth as I see it. So eliteness is really interesting. Are you the best version of yourself? And you might have come across these before. These are pacer values. I sort of thought about them in a similar way, but and look, if you're going to become a world record breaking athlete, I set 5 world records in a day. You have to be pioneering. Nobody had really thought of them. It's pioneering. Ambitious. I'm a really ambitious person. I'm not very compassionate. I think I might have said well done today. I don't think I did, but I very rarely tell people well done. I'm not very compassionate. My wife is, and I've learned compassion off her. But if you're going to be a world record breaking athlete, you have to be nice to people. You know, you have to have them on your team, and you have to talk to people nicely, and you have to be compassionate. And if you're going to be a coach, you do have to say well done, and you do have to listen to problems, and you do have to say, oh, that's really sad, and I can feel your pain. So I've learned compassion. You got to be excellent. I'm good at being excellent. I really, really want to be excellent at everything I do. I'm either great at it or rubbish. I'm either black or white. There's no 50 shades of grey with me. It's all the same. And reliable, always say where I'm going to be, and I'm there. We could plan this meeting 10 years in advance, and I'd be there on the dot, on the day, because that's the person I am. I'm reliable, and I'm really reliable in a crisis. That's what I'm like. So here we go. Pick out some words, Kat. 3 to describe yourself out of the group.
Maybe Henke can pick out.
If she can see it.
Yeah. Did you? I've sent out the email now, Henke. Just so you know.
Yes, I'm dealing with it. Just give me a second.
Okay, we'll give you more than a second. You can have as much time as you like. And Sarah, if you want to chat, you can type stuff in the chat as well, if you'd like to.
So if you keep an eye on the chat while you do your 3 words, Kat.
Yeah. So 3 words for me, I would say revolutionary. I would say enthusiastic. I would say visionary.
There you go. I like it.
3.
So revolutionary.
Yeah.
Visionary.
Yeah.
And enthusiastic, yeah?
Yeah.
So let's have a look and see what.
They were just the first ones to stand out for me.
Look at that.
You've got 2 reds.
2 reds and a yellow. Pioneering and ambitious. It's great, isn't it? I did say until last week, nobody's ever chosen world class, because they don't. I've done this hundreds of times, and somebody picked it out. I was like, damn. I think he picked it out just to take the mickey. I would say you're quite an edgy person, that pioneering, sparky thing. So when we go back to thinking about being elite, you know, those are good words. Endeavoring, enthusiastic, impassioned. They're all really good. But we all know people that are strong, decent, respectable. It's really funny what words we pick out for ourselves. And also it's quite interesting, the words that people pick out about us. So I love this sort of stuff, all these word games. And when we talk about change, so it's there we are, we're thinking about all those words that we are, maybe some of those words we want to be. When we think about change, change like COVID is imposed and it's negative. It has we have a negative feeling. So last year, lots of people were put on furlough. Then their companies decided actually they didn't really need them anymore. So it was a good time to make them redundant. And there's nothing worse than anybody being made redundant. You just feel rubbish, don't you? So it's negative. And here's some negative change. Hopefully you can see this. Oops, let's play that. Hopefully you can see that.
Wow. Awesome.
What you can't see is the physio actually holding my shorts up on the back. There she is, helping me along. Mm-hmm. So this is 5 years ago. I'd just been to the Marathon des Sables. There I am, the desert warrior running across the desert. And a week later, after running 250k in the Sahara Desert, they found out I had something called Guillain-Barré syndrome, or GBS. We all call it GBS, getting better slowly. Its real name is subacute inflammatory demyelinating polyneuropathy.
Wow.
Bit of a mouthful. Basically what happens is you get a tummy bug, your body attacks the tummy bug, but then it shatters all of your nervous system. So your broadband signal, by the time it gets to your hands and your feet, is in dial-up. There's no signal. It makes you really angry. And I was in total denial. I was also really pissed because I was stuck on 976 marathons and I had my whole future planned out. So literally, just like lockdown last year, my world vaporized. Everything vaporized because I couldn't move from the neck down. The other thing was my business vaporized. Everything just disintegrated. So there I am lying in bed, not being able to move, not being able to do anything. Faces all dropped. Everybody I meet is crying. Everybody cried. I didn't cry, but everybody I met cried. And the one thing that you say to the doctors and the consultants is, will I walk? When will I walk? And they just sort of go, well, don't know. It's just like that. I don't know. It's a complete shoulder shrug. So you get very angry. And for about 4 weeks, I was the worst patient in the world. And after a couple of trials with the Zimmer frame, they sort of got rid of me and I went. And I came home and actually I've thrown the armchair out today because it just reminded me of being just a horrible time. I sat in the armchair for 5 weeks. 5 weeks of sitting in this chair for 12 hours a day, 5 weeks of lying on the floor. Being the worst patient in the world. And then I suddenly thought, what the hell am I doing? This just isn't going right. And there was a brilliant Dutch physiotherapist I was introduced to, and he just sort of said, look, is it going well? And I sort of said, no, it's not. It's going really badly. Is it going to get fixed in your time frame? I don't think so. Do you need to go back to hospital? Yeah. So I phoned the hospital and sort of sheepishly said, can I come back, please? And they said, well, come on, you can come back, but you've got to behave. And the world sort of went clearer for me and I accepted the change. And as soon as I accepted that change, even though I wasn't in that city, I accepted the change. It was self-imposed. Suddenly I had this massive burst of positivity. And I just thought, do you know what? I know lots of miserable running people. I've seen lots of really happy people in wheelchairs. Why don't I just crack on? And if I can walk again, that's great. If I'm in a wheelchair for the rest of my life, that's great, because life's amazing. And I'm sure there's amazing things I can go and do no matter what, because at 54, I was still, quite a young man. I've got children and a wife, and my wife was just brilliant during the whole thing. She looked after me when she needn't have done. She could have just walked away, I suppose. So I decided to change, and here I am with that Dutch guy learning to walk badly. That's better. I love the "that's better" comment, because actually that was rubbish. I did that for an hour and a half a day, just trying to learn to walk. It's the hardest thing I've ever done, learning to walk. It's really, really difficult. But but I did, and there was a secret to it, and the secret was trying to find out what's the one thing you have to do to make everything happen, and you stand up. All you got to do is stand up. It's not hard. You stand up. I mean, it is hard, but over the course of a weekend, I taught myself to stand up. And then, if you can stand up, you can take a step. And then I started walking home from hospital. They could never find me. I was just walking around the hospital doing laps. And 3 weeks later, I did a park run, and a couple of weeks after, that up on the wall there, that's the finish of my first half marathon 3 weeks later. And 3 weeks after that, I did a marathon. And I've run 112 marathons since in the last 5 years. So when people tell me they can't do things, I always say, actually you can. It's just that maybe you don't want to. So that's part of this process. And when you think about change, it's funny, I was looking at my son. My eldest son was learning to walk, and it didn't just sort of go bump. It didn't happen overnight. It didn't just suddenly walk. It took him about 6 weeks. Cruised around, then he was sort of letting go, then he was falling over, then he was standing up, then he took a step, then he fell over. It's about 6 weeks to learn to walk. We want things to happen overnight, and they don't. The process of change takes time. And that isn't a place in Wales, or wherever. I think the process of change is really interesting. I go back to that bit where I suddenly decided one day to go for a run. Change happens. You can't change the past, but you can change the future. And what you can do is just get a blank sheet of paper and just think about the 3 things you do that you don't want to do anymore. It's really easy. You just think of 3 things that you do. Mine was easy. Number 1, don't drink. Number 2, don't smoke. Number 3, don't eat rubbish food and go for a jog. That was it. Process of change. But it could be, I want a better relationship. I want out of this relationship. I want to buy a house. I want to stop spending all my time on YouTube. I don't know. All those things are very personal to people. And if you think about it after tonight, you might think of those 3 things that you do that you don't want to do anymore. I meet people and they sort of say, well, I don't want to take MDMA anymore. You go, well, okay, that's quite a big one. And we sort of, I don't want to gamble anymore. I don't want to drink anymore. And we start attacking those problems. Just eating one little bit of the elephant at a time, just knocking the corners off the problems. And that process of change starts. Hardest bit is actually taking the first step. After that, actually, that whole process can be fun, because what people concentrate too much on the things they don't want to do, and they don't concentrate on the 3 things that you do want to do. That's how you beat addiction. So if you're a bottle of wine drinker every day, and you're trying to get off the bottle of wine, it's really difficult, because all you're doing is thinking about the bottle of wine. Whereas if you're doing something where you can't do the bottle of wine, and it's more exciting than the bottle of wine, and you don't get the hangover like you do with the bottle of wine, that process of change is a lot easier. And you think about the 3 things that you don't do that you do want to do. Yeah, I think that process is so simple. And what you might find out is that if you write down the 3 things that you don't want to do anymore, you might have 50 things. It doesn't matter. Just pick a hard one, a middle one, and an easy one. Just start that process, and you might only have 2 on here. But cool, it doesn't matter. You make the rules. That's the beauty. You make the rules on your life. No one else does. And I think you've got to be careful with change too. There's ambition versus ability. So I was talking to a guy last night who'd swum the channel. I'm always in awe of people that swum the channel. It would be something. I'm one of those sort of guys. Climb Everest, walk to the South Pole, swim the channel. It's great, but I can't swim. I really can't. I've got negative buoyancy, all my weight's in my legs. I just really can't swim. So there's no point in me having the ambition of swimming the channel because I'd sink. Okay, so ambition and ability. Run to Lisbon? Yeah, what an ambition. Have I got the ability to do it? Somebody asked me, would you run to Lisbon? I went, yep. It's a phone call, yep. Do you want to think about it? Nope. Why is that? Well, because I can do it. It's fine. My ability matched my ambition. And you've got to be honest. You've got to be honest about that process of change. Not honest to anyone else. You've got to be honest to yourself. Can I change? Yeah, I think I can. It's cracking. And you have to try and work out why you're doing things. So, my wife runs a lot. I run a lot. I run purely for pleasure. Mine's everything about how it feels. How was your marathon? I loved it. I had a chat with this guy. It was such a great day. There was blue skies, white fluffy bunnies everywhere. It was cracking. Say to my wife, how was your marathon? She'd go, oh, I did 2:59. I got a great big medal. I was first. I thought, what was it like? Well, it doesn't matter. It's all about the time. It's not the taking part, it's the winning that counts. She's totally reward driven. Nothing wrong with the motivation if that's your bag. But you have to work out why you're doing things. I love the journey. I love the experience. I love sharing it with other people. It's cracking. It's really good. Because the best thing in life is other people, actually. It took me a long time to discover that. And you have to have a bit of a plan. Nothing happens without a plan. I'm a real planner. I'm not good on instructions. Give me some IKEA instructions and stuff, and I'm already putting the doors on before I'm putting the sides on because I'm not very good at following the instructions. I'm really good on my own instructions and planning, and I like to dissect things and get everything in the right order. You know, renovated a house. It's done down to the last minute drop, everything. And the timeline, getting things in the right place at the right time, I'm really good at that. But you get some setbacks. It's a bumpy road. And it's just really easy to go, there you go. I told you it'd be rubbish. Why did I bother? Well, you have to get back on the bike, or back on your horse or back on whatever it is and keep going. And you've got to give it 100%. If you want to go and do something that's really extreme, it's got to matter more than anything in the world. It's got to be your prime driver. Because let's face it, I can't think of anything I did in 1995, apart from running the London Marathon on the 2nd of April. I can't remember what I ate, what I did, who came round, where I went. But I can remember these days when I gave everything I got to go and achieve something. I'm not into things. I'm not into fast cars or stuff, expensive watches or whatever it might be, whatever people accumulate to show their wealth or whatever. I'm into stuff that is embedded in here and it has and its own unbelievable value because I was there. I don't need to see photographs. I just have those 4K color memories of just being on the hard shoulder running into Lisbon, having this amazing experience. And that's what life is. It is an experience, and you DIY your future. That's the beauty. No one else, and nobody ever thinks about what's coming up. Nobody's really got a plan, but you have to think about, well, what's happening in 2021? We're into May. Bang, 2021's nearly halfway over. What's going on? Time's ticking. What's happening in 2022? Is the world going to be back to normalish? What's happening in 23, 24, 25? Are we going to still be in this sort of strange world, or the new world, your new world? Things change. If you think we're going back to February last year and everything's going to go back to how it was, forget it, because it's not. It's all changed, but we've all changed at the same time. So I think change is there, and if you want to change, I help people change. That's what I do. I've been doing it now for 13 years. I wish I'd done it 20 years before, but probably I couldn't have, because the internet wasn't around, and the internet's helped the whole world, isn't it? That's what's really changed us in the last 20 years. But have a think. Think about the three things. Think about those words. You might want to up your game. Now you can ask some questions.
Thank you, Rory. That was awesome. I've thought of my three things anyhow, but I'd love to hear from one of our other participants first. Henke, do you have any questions or anything to share about what Rory shared?
Can you remind me of the three things, what they were?
Oh, so there are three things that you do that you don't want to do anymore. Oh, can I tell you mine? I think she's dropped.
I think she's there. I just can't see her on camera.
I can't hear you. Is it my internet?
It could be, or it could be mine. Mine's a little bit shaky. It might be this one here. It's been a bit up and down. It's an overuse injury.
I think we can hear you now, Henke. Do you want to have another go?
Okay. So 3 things you want to get rid of that you don't want to do anymore.
Yeah, and they could be anything. That's the beauty. It's your choice. And then 3 things that you don't do that you do want to do.
And would the 3 things that you do want to do they emerge out of the stuff that you want to get rid of, or?
It can do. They could counterbalance. I don't know. What are the things that you do that you don't want to do anymore? What is it that cheeses you off about yourself?
Okay, so number 1 is that I overthink stuff. That's probably the biggest weed that has to be pulled out.
Yeah.
And
so you have paralysis by analysis.
What is that?
Paralysis by analysis. It means that you overthink things, and then you just sort of get paralyzed because you can't. You're thinking so much about stuff that you can't actually make a proper decision.
Well, this is how I make my decisions, by thinking about the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's time consuming. Well, I mean, it's one way of making decisions. I mean, it's not everything. But the thing is this, I'm kind of driven to find the right answer right now. And then what I do is I drop everything that I'm doing, and then I start thinking about the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And then I waste a lot of time doing that, and I get behind with all the things that I have to do because I want to find the solution now. And then I mess my life up. Because yeah, I spend time and I spend lots of energy on doing this, and it's very unproductive, but I keep doing it because I really want a solution now, and has got to be the right one.
Well, if we all made the right decision at the right time, maybe it would be a bit boring, wouldn't it? All I can say is I always call them it's a not today decision. That's a good way of thinking about it. Is this a not today decision? And you sort of think, well, actually, do you know what? I haven't got to decide that today. I'll just park it up. And if you do make a list of the things that you need to decide, you actually probably find out that lots of them, you can give yourself quite a long time to think about them. Actually thinking about, so appetite, we call it appetite. When you buy a car, the appetite is about creating that car online. That's why Mini's so good. You go online and you buy the car and you look at the Mini and the sword and the wheels and the wing mirrors and you personalize it. It's fantastic and you can't wait to get this car. And it turns up and you go to the dealership and there it is. It's all brand new and you love it and it's fantastic. And after a week, you know, people are eating McDonald's in them and whatever, and sort of they just never wash them. And the thrill of the appetite has gone because you've actually got the thing that you desired. You know, that's human nature.
Yeah, can I say something to that? I found an interesting observation. I don't know if you know astrology, but what I find, there's a difference if you buy something on the waning moon or on the waxing moon.
Okay.
Because you know, when you actually get the thing that you want to buy, sometimes you can experience like a void when you actually get it.
Oh right, okay, yeah.
I mean that's what I sometimes have, you know, like then I get it and then I feel either a void or I feel sadness or some kind of emotion that is different from the anticipation, because you have this anticipation, you build up to it and you look forward to it, and then when you get it, then there's this other kind of strange feeling creeps in. But the interesting thing is, like, with the waning moon and the waxing moon, for example, on the waning moon, it's better to clear out and get rid of stuff. It's, for example, good for decluttering. And
What's
when
your
the moon
star
is waxing,
What's your star sign?
I'm an Aries.
Oh right, okay. I'm Aquarius, and we're just odd people.
Yeah. So when the moon is actually waxing,
yeah,
it's good to acquire things. So on the waning moon, you get rid of things, and on the waxing moon, you can acquire things, and it works quite well in those times. So if you actually, it's good to observe where the moon is when you feel is out of line with this, you know, like you buy something and then strange emotions are coming up. To actually have a look where the moon is, because
I have become quite interested in the moon and the planets this year. Actually. I've got an app, and you can just point it at the sky, and it tells you where all the planets are. And then last year we were looking at the space station flying over, which was just amazing to look up and think, wow, there's 5 people on that little blip going over the heavens. Just makes you realize just, you know, the world's a big place. I'll have a think about the waxing and waning moon.
I actually do moon circles as well, Henke. So
You do moon circles.
moon circles, yeah. So, but I didn't know what you're telling me. So it's interesting, very interesting.
So what is moon circles?
I need to see where the moon is.
It's, well, moon circles are basically we've done it since age old, like especially women, and gathering together at the full or at the new moon, because it's a time of letting go and renewal. So letting go of whatever's not serving us, and inviting in that which we wish to, you know, to bring into our lives. So it's about community, really, and coming together as a community and supporting each
Well, I'll
other.
tell you what, I'm not going to see the moon tonight, because the moon is basically underneath my feet on the other side of the world, next to Jupiter and Saturn, according to my what's it called? Sky view. It's really
Sky
good.
view, yeah, that's,
Love it.
I love
Really
that
good.
too.
Any more questions?
Sarah, do you want to type a question? Because it looks like you're still here. It would be nice to hear from you, or just let us know if you enjoyed it in the chat. It would be great to hear from you.
But that's good. And look, you know, it's ever so easy. If you want to get in contact with me, just Rory at rorycoleman.co.uk. It's dead easy. I'm dead easy to find.
Yes, I'll put that in the chat.
Oh, thank you.
For you as well. There we go. And yeah, so do you want to know what my 3 things are before we go?
Go for it. Go for it.
Why not? So my 3 things were procrastination, which is deadly, and especially because you actually mentioned about buying a house. That's particularly what I need to get clear about. And I sold my flat in London, and it was just before the pandemic, so it was great timing.
Yep.
But I didn't really know where I was moving to, and then I had a breakup. I was supposed to be living with my partner, then I had a breakup, and now I'm kind of just living in someone else's flat, which, you know, is great as an interim, but not really, you know. So yeah, it's been indecisive about where to be and all that. So yeah, that's probably
number 3.
And number 2, so number 2 was emotional eating, because occasionally I do emotional eat. Like it's not like major crazy, but I just notice that I do it sometimes, occasionally.
I think a lot of us do. I do.
Yeah.
Just you get one of those days, but that's cool.
Yeah.
And you do have to find. You do have to find out where you're going. You have to have some direction. But you'll find direction. It's a not today decision.
Yeah, and I mean, I have direction in other areas of my life. Like I have direction in my business, you know, I feel really like motivated in that. And I definitely know that if the government lets me, I know that I want to go away to this year. So I do have clarity on some things. My 3rd one was getting overwhelmed with like just a lot of things to do and not delegating. And I think it's like an age-old issue for many entrepreneurs, where you get to that point where you have these ideas, you want to expand into these ideas, but you don't have the actual budget to just pay the people to carry this stuff out for you yet. So yeah, it's like it's that kind of scaling thing. Yeah.
But that's also about getting things planned out in order, not procrastinating, and actually giving something some time to work and to breathe, because that's the hardest bit. You have this great idea and you push it and push it and push it and push it, and actually after a while people just go, oh, whatever, and you have to let that idea breathe. I'm rewriting my website at the moment. I've done most of it, and I write it, it goes away, and then I'll give it time to breathe and think about it, and then launch it. It's not going to make any, how much difference does it make? Oh, not a lot.
Yeah.
Not a lot. In the grand scheme of things, it's not a lot. It's about the people that you work with, how you help them solve their solutions, and they tell other people. It's really simple. People by people at the end of the day. I think that's cool. So thanks for coming on tonight and listening to me. That's really good. I'm going to go and get on with the rest of the day. And if you, like I said, if you want to do some stuff, let me know. I'm going to do some stuff with you anyway, Kat, because it'd be great to help you shape your future. That'd be good. And we'll be in touch. I think it's next week, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I'm very excited.
Yeah,
and thank you for your generosity. You're obviously, what was it of the 5 words? The one.
Ambitious.
You're the yellow one.
I'm pioneering and ambitious. I'm none of the rest, really. I mean, I try to be excellent, but I'm not compassionate. I'm learning that one.
Sorry, what did you say? Which star sign you are?
I'm Aquarius.
Yeah, that I understand. Detachment.
Yeah, we're a bit odd. We're a bit odd, I'm afraid. But that's cool. I don't mind being odd. It's
Yeah,
all right.
large part of my family are also all Aquarius. So yeah, I
very
understand.
creative sign as
We
well.
are very creative. Yeah.
Very creative sign, Aquarius. I love
Good stuff. All right, ladies.
Thanks, Rory. Bless you. Take care.
Thank you.
Right. Diolch yn fawr. Bye.
Bye. Bye, everyone. Bye.
Bye.